Welcome, fellow Stardust. Are you ready for a scare? I see you've come back for more. If you're new here, buckle up, and thank you all for joining me today. My name is DeRay, aka Rainbow Fright, lover of all things dark, creepy, and weird. And today, I'll be discussing both Funny Games movies from 1997 and 2007. Both are written and directed by Michael Haneke, and as you may already know, the remake is a shot-for-shot remake. And this month, I have another very special guest. He is a fellow filmmaker and content creator, but this is his first time as a guest on my channel. Please join me in welcoming Ronald Short. Hello, Ronald, and welcome. Hey, it is so good to see you, and I am just so happy to finally chop it up with you about some movies.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I've been watching your stuff for a while. Obviously, we're friends. I'm excited to be here.
Yes. Well, thank you. And actually, Stardust, if you are a fan of my channel, then you probably have heard me talk about Ronald before. Not long ago, I did a review of his short film called The Rink, and I'll leave links for the short film and my review down in the description. Also, Ronald has recently got a short film accepted into another film festival, Cabin in the Woods Film Fest, of which I am a brand ambassador for. Links for more information on that will also be down in the description. Now, Ronald, are you ready to talk torture?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm so ready.
Let's do it. Yes. Well, first, here is a short summary for both films, and spoilers are ahead. When a family arrives at their vacation home, it isn't long before two young men are at their doorstep with no intentions of leaving. Taken hostage in their own home, they are at the mercy of these strangers who take pleasure in making them squirm in their home while playing their quote-unquote games. The family is eventually picked off one by one, and then the young men make their way to their neighbor's house, who they met at the start of the film. The first film, which was in German and French and set in Austria, stars Suzanne Lother, Ulrich Mew, Arno Frisch, and Frank Gehring. The US remake stars Naomi Watts, Tim Roth, Michael Pitt, and Brady Corbett. Alrighty, so Ronald, which film did you see first, and what were your feelings?
Oh, yeah. I saw the remake first. I saw it at the Landmark Theater in Indianapolis, Indiana, way back in the day. When I can't remember when it came out, year-wise, but I believe I was in college and I was back home, and I just saw the trailers. I knew it was a remake, but I had never seen the original, and I just thought it looked incredible. I'm a big fan of Home Invasion and Michael Pitt. I mean, where's that guy at? What's he been doing? He's great. I miss that dude. And then, of course, Naomi Watts and Tim Roth, they're both fantastic as the couple. And I just remember seeing it, and it kind of like cracked my brain open. Just the way it's I love the moments where they just kind of stop the film with a remote control. And I want to talk about that more, but it's just when I first saw it, I was just kind of blown away. I was blown away, but mostly by the performances and how it was shot. But yeah, it really sucked me in, and it was the remake I saw first, and the remake I like more because of that. I think it really stuck with me. It still sticks with me. I think about it all the time.
Yes, I definitely saw the remake first as well. And upon my first watch was just left with my jaw on the floor, just feeling for this family. You know, I thought that Tim Roth and Naomi also did an amazing job. That little boy was also really good. And seeing these two guys who seemed like brothers to me just have this fun with these people just so callously, and just like if it was just another day on the golf course for them, was just frightening, made you think of A Clockwork Orange, where they're just playing around, having a good time as if they're kids on a playground. So yeah, I definitely had a good time with it too. Home invasion is a fun subgenre for sure, and this one is like the mother of home invasions.
Yes,
for sure.
yes. It just those two dudes get under your skin so easily. They invade their lives and also invade your lives as a viewer. Like Like it feels like they shouldn't be there. I mean, obviously they shouldn't be there, but this is my weird theory that I got after seeing it. Like, so it feels like they are from a completely different movie. Like it feels like they invade this film, this family drama, these crazy ass dudes from the slasher movie. We're bored of being in the slasher. Let's hop over to
Yeah.
this family drama and start some shit. And with, I mean, especially with like the remote control and being able to fast forward and rewind, it just feels like it feels very meta to me. It just feels like these characters shouldn't be here more so than they're invading these people's lives. They shouldn't be in this movie. I feel like we should be focusing on the parents and the kid and them figuring out their lives. But then these two dudes just come in and fuck it all up.
They do. Yeah, it's totally meta, especially at the end when they're talking about reality versus fiction, and they're kind of in a way talking about themselves. And I love your idea of them coming from a different movie into this home invasion movie, because they are a bit of an otherworldly presence with being able to control the past and the future, and always having control of the family from the moment that they're on screen with the family. They're the puppeteers, they're the ones controlling everything, making them kind of like a god, which I feel like is highlighted when Paul's character has Anna's character pray, so she can then decide how they die next. Just terrifying.
Just fun. It's just a fun time. It's just good times.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how do you think the setting and cultural context of each film influenced the viewer's experience going from the remake to the original, the original to the remake? So the original was set in Austria, a place that isn't very violent, and the crime rate is pretty low, versus the remake that is set in America. And keep in mind, the director writer wanted to do the film in English first, but he couldn't get it made in America, so he settled for making it in Austria. And so the remake obviously made for Americans who are a bit desensitized to violence. What do you think the two films, the setting for each of them, how did that affect both films?
Sure. I feel like with the remake, it does fit it more in what they're trying to achieve, what they're trying to say. This idyllic life of this family with their kid, and this is what we're all striving for. This white picket fence, having all the money, we're all taken care of, and then life happens. Then these characters come in and say, "No, we're gonna fuck all this up for you." I feel like that story fits more. And can I curse? Is that okay?
Oh yes. I've
totally been cursing a lot. Good. Just making sure. We were talking about murder, so I didn't think it was a big deal. But them just coming into this idyllic situation, I feel fits better in American setting. This is something I've read about, but I didn't think about too deeply when watching the original with Austria, and how their crime rates are obviously lower, and that makes so much more sense to want to take that idea and make it someplace where these ideas and messing those ideas up would be more effectual, I guess. Is that the word I'm looking for? I mean, I don't know. America just makes more sense to me. America just makes more sense for the whole idea, in my opinion. What do you think? Like, what's your feelings on that?
Well, I agree with what you're saying, but also because America is so violent and the crime rate is so high, watching it was just like another movie in a way. But again, like I said, I think because with Austria being so much safer, it might have had a bigger effect on that audience versus the American audience. And I think because it was more gritty and it felt more real than the remake, I feel like I appreciate it a little bit more, even though I still enjoyed the remake. Rewatching it now after watching the original, my appreciation, I think, dwindled just a little bit. Mm-hmm. It was just interesting seeing those subtle differences that made, to me, a big difference.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thinking of a world where that doesn't usually happen, and then it does, like the film is about it happening in that world. That is a really good
Yeah.
point. I really do. I also wish I saw the original before I saw the remake. I just the original didn't hit me the same way because I had already experienced it, and but I just love the remake more. It's just I don't know, just like the actors and everything. I don't know. I just have maybe it's when I saw it and everything. I just have a really soft spot for it. But yeah, I think you're right that it's more interesting to do it in a place where it doesn't normally happen. It just might the story just might fit more in America because we're used to that. We're used to
Yeah.
that sort.
And then, you know, with horror and murder and torture and all of that, those things I think resonate a little bit more for me when I'm unfamiliar with the people on screen. And I
Yeah,
think that was part of it in rewatching the remake. It's, you know, I know Naomi Watts and I don't really see her. We don't see either women get naked completely. We just get the idea of it. But the first actor, Suzanne, I don't know who she is, and she just felt more raw to me than Naomi. Naomi still was, you know, done up a little bit nice. You know, even when her hair was messy and she's crying, she still looked beautiful, you know, to her fault,
yeah,
you
oh,
know,
for sure.
poor Naomi. But it wasn't as gut wrenching to me, you know, when I saw
Sure,
this unknown. So if, you know, Michael Haneke wanted to do the American version, actually, you know, when he decided to do it finally, he said, definitely I want Naomi Watts or nothing. And I get it. He wanted somebody big who would bring a lot of eyes to the screen. But I wish he would have thought about it even more and just picked somebody who was more up and coming and was
sure.
ready for such a tough role.
I
Um,
could see that. I could see that for
yeah.
sure. And that's one of the reasons I love horror so much. And this is something I've talked about with people on my team when we're making stuff. Is just people go into horror movies and can experience new horror movies so much easier because of that. They're able to disconnect from the actor because they don't know him, and it's scarier to them because they don't know if this person will survive. So that idea also kind of fucks with you in that you think you go into the situation thinking, oh, Naomi, she's the final girl, she's gonna live, and they still kill her. I love stuff like that too, like where you got this kind of familiarity, this kind of comfort blanket, and it gets ripped off your ass. Everyone's fucking dead. The bad guys won. So,
Yes.
but no, to your point, I love horror because and new horror, and I feel like horror is so easy to discover because you're watching this new thing and it's people you don't know, and you're scared because you don't know what's going to happen to them. And that's why I really like it. And your point of the original, you don't really know them as the big Hollywood actors. That does make it scarier for sure.
Yes. And then also just learning more behind the scenes stuff makes me love a film even more sometimes. And finding out that the couple in the original is actually or was actually a couple in real
Oh,
life,
yeah.
you know, was just awesome. And
That's
because you
great.
can
Yeah.
totally feel and see that connection between the two. And then just to add to tragedy, I don't know if you saw this, but in real life, you know, he died of stomach cancer. And then, like a day before that 5-year anniversary of his death, she unalived herself. And that's just super tragic. And then
Okay.
also, Frank Gehring, who played Peter, passed away in 2010. So three of our main four characters passed away not that long ago, just
Wow.
making this story just extra tragic.
Yeah. Wow. I had no
Yeah.
idea. I did not realize that. Bummer.
Mm-mm.
I mean, what do you think? You think they stand a chance? You're on their side, aren't you? Who are you betting on, hmm?
But wait, what kind of bet is this? If they're dead, they can't live up to their side. And if they win, they can't live either.
Yes, they'll lose either way, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Where is Michael Pitt though? Like, what has he been up to recently? Do you know?
I looked it up because, I'm like, yeah, he's a great actor. What's the deal?
Yeah.
And I
What's the
just
deal?
saw a bunch of posts like on Reddit and other things where he's just really difficult to work with. He rolls his
Ha!
eyes. He's probably got an addiction issue. And,
Oh,
but he's working, he's done stuff in 2023, 2021, 2020, but it looks like they're fairly small roles.
yeah.
But yeah, he should have been winning awards by now, but people just don't want to work with him.
Yeah, so you just gotta not be an asshole, I guess. You can be
Yep,
good and
yep.
be nice. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I know, I know.
You're allowed to play another game. The name of this game is The Loving Wife, otherwise known as whether by knife or whether by gun, losing your life can sometimes be fun.
And it's funny, between the two films, we have, just slightly different dialogue. Even though it is shot for shot, there are moments that have different timing. For instance, we've got the 10-minute shot where after the young boy is shot, we have the parents just sitting in the living room for a minute before they go and try to get some help. We have Anna in the original taking a little bit more time before she goes to turn off the TV. And I think that was super important for that start of that 10-minute scene, because she's just sitting there motionless and you're like, you see the young boy with his brains on the wall, and she's not moving and the dad's not moving, and you're wondering like who's alive and who's dead. Is this movie paused? Like, is it still playing? The only reason why it's moving is because you see her snot dripping down. But in the
Right.
remake, we have Naomi, who basically, we start that scene, but she moves and starts going towards the TV about 35 seconds sooner, which is a slight difference. But for that type of scene, after that commotion, 35 seconds is a long time. And it really helped to set up the rest of that 10-minute scene. And again, we have, the wife helping the husband up and going to the kitchen, and that assistance just looks more real and sad than compared to Naomi and Tim Roth doing it, just from my perspective. Also, at the very end, when Anna's character is flung off the boat, we have Paul, who pushes her overboard. And in the remake, he says, "Ciao, Bella." And when I was rewatching the remake, I'm like, man, what is he going to say? "See you later, sweetheart. Bye, ya toots," or what's he gonna say? Just "Ciao, Bella" is so perfect. But when he pushes her over in the English version, he also says "Ciao, Bella," and I'm like, yes, like that just was so fitting the first time, and I'm glad he kept that French line in the remake.
Yes. Yeah, that little moment is definitely a keeper. You've given me a lot to think about with that scene. I love that idea of like, is it paused? Are we just kind of like suffering in this image that these guys want us to see? No, you have a good point there. That living in that kind of shock, that silence after it happens is more powerful for sure. And I agree with you there. Yeah, I think that's really a really good point.
Another scene that, is a bit different, that I feel like was maybe a change that shouldn't have happened, was at the end where we have the dad in the kitchen trying to dry off the cell phone, and the wife has already taken off to go try to find help. And he grabs a piece of bread in the original, and you see him eat it, and you can see him just be satiated by that, but not necessarily, enjoying it. He's just trying to get through to the next hour. But in the remake, now that I'm thinking about it and speaking about it out loud, I'm not so sure if it's a bad change. It's definitely an American change now that I'm thinking more about it. So when he takes the piece of bread, instead of being satiated by it, he spits it out. And now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably because of more of a guilt. Because I think in the first one, you're maybe made to wonder, why didn't he spit it out? His son is in the next room dead. How can he eat? But then in the American version, he eats the bread, or he bites the bread and spits it out. And he's like, why the hell do I need bread? My son's dead and I don't need this nourishment. So
Yeah.
maybe it's not
Yeah,
a
I agree.
negative change. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like that's either a Tim Roth thing. Maybe it was an actor kind of like, what's the motivation? What's the guide here? I like moments like that because it's like, did Haneke decide that he didn't like that moment in the first film, or was this Tim Roth taking a bite of the bread and realizing, what am I doing? Why am I eating bread and spitting it out? I find that kind of stuff interesting. Yeah, no, that's a really cool point you bring up. The father's, where he is mentally in that moment. Should he eat the bread? I don't know. Maybe he in the first version, maybe he just fucking needed it. Maybe he's like, I need something. If I'm gonna save my family or what's left of it, I need this fucking bread. And in the new version, Tim Roth is like, well, I need this bread, and he's like, wait a minute, my son spits it. I don't know. I like them both.
Yes. Okay.
That's some great points.
What would you rate out of 5 Rainbow Skulls, both films?
Okay. So the remake Funny Games, I've seen a lot. I've seen it at least 3 or 4 times. I guess that's a lot. Is that a lot?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would give that one 4.5.
Okay.
I need to see the original again. Give it a reappreciation, but right now I would say 3.5 is my Rainbow Skulls.
Perfect. Awesome.
But yeah,
I'd probably give the original 4.5 Rainbow Skulls out of 5, and I'll give the remake 4 Rainbow Skulls out of 5.
Oh yeah, I thought you were just going to do the reverse. That would have been really funny. 3.5 for the remake.
All right. Well, Ronald, let us know what you've got going on in your filmmaker world.
Absolutely. So we have Bonnie, obviously. It's playing in festivals right now. We're kind of in the middle of the run. We just learned we're going to play in Las Vegas and in Tokyo, Japan, which is crazy.
Yeah.
That's so weird. And obviously Cabin in the Woods, which I'm very excited about. And then we just shot a little web series called Tegan and His Bros. It's about two stoners. This one's not horror. This is a puppet comedy. It's a 2 stoners adopt a cat who's also a stoner. And the cat is a puppet. So it's kind of like a stoner Jim Henson kind of thing. And then we're making in October, we're making another short film, a practical monster movie called Tasty Bones. It's going to have a creature. So I'm excited for that.
Very cool. Hell yeah. Excited.
Yeah. And follow me on Instagram at Ronald the Short. I would appreciate it.
Yes, I'll leave all those links down in the description for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, Ronald, it was so much fun talking with you today about Funny Games. Thank you so much for being here. And we're definitely going to be doing this again soon. I had so much fun with you.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see the next videos. You're great. Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, all right, Stardust. Until next time. Peace.